It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
And welcome to the realm of geekdom. This is nerd breaking news. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our episodes when they randomly come out. Today, we're going to go ahead and talk about the new Superman Legacy trailer that recently came out. And we're just going to go ahead and get all of our analysts' reactions. So let's go ahead and start off with first impression. We'll start with the Eagle. What did you think about the trailer?
I think it was something different. We're having our first look on the new faces, right? The new Clark Kent, and all the other characters. There we go. We have the picture right there. Um, I don't know. I think the most interesting thing was for me the new light that this movie might be, right? Like, it's a very different from one the Snyder movies were, right? Where it was all about killing people, which was weird. And making it so obvious, right? Like it was implied that a lot of people would die in those type of movies, but when you put it, from page, it's just hits differently. So, I think what James Gunn did here in this trailer, which is basically give you a first state, and that the first stage is going to be showing you, hey, this is very different from what you've seen. The tone of the movie is going to be very different. Um, like the lighting is going to be more hopeful, I believe. It's going to be more like that old Superman vibe. I mean, I'm digging it. I just, I just don't know where it's gonna go. Right? Like the trailer doesn't say that much, but I guess we're still do like one or two more trailers before the movie it actually comes out. So we'll see. But so far, first impressions. Again, I think the most important thing is like the turnaround of, like, this is not such a super realistic movie where, yeah, it's not implied we're gonna put people, the people died in here, and we're gonna put it in your face. And I think it's gonna showcase a little bit more what Superman was about in terms of his values, and how his thought process is of, you know I have to save the world, but at the same time, I want to do it with no casualties, or, I don't. That's not my thing, right? So there's always like a background story how you end up in that place, and I think that's, what part of the movie is going to be like. And I think that in Snyder's version, it was just so raw. It was like, nah, man, the people are gonna die anyway. We're not, it's implied. It's implied, kind of a thing, and we're just gonna focus on trying to save the world. So to me, that's what it is. And obviously the dog at the beginning of the trailer. I think that's really cool. What's gonna be the role of the dog? I don't know, but I'm excited for
Yeah, I kind of feel exactly the same way. I think it's going to be a better film that we're used to, something closer to the comics, and that I'm super excited about this film. It's just the history that DC has had with their recent films. They haven't really been that great, and we all know that. But I do have a little film, and for me, he's always found a way how to make films entertaining and be able to bring in, crypto into this. He was able to do it in Guardians of the Galaxy with random characters like Rocket Raccoon and Groot, and he was able to make them a household name. So I have a little faith on James Gunn. He might be able to turn this around for DC, but again, I'm excited to see what would happen once the film comes out. What do you think, Professor?
So before I start, I want to give full credit to the CW. Everyone forgets about the CW. The CW gave us this great show called Flash, an almost good show called Supergirl, and a really really good show called Superman. And when you're looking at it, those two shows did a really really good job at giving you the exact tone and lighting that you see here. So when you're talking about the tone, to me, what I see, and I know folks aren't gonna like this, it feels like the exact same thing as Man of Steel with the CW's tone plus a dog. And overall, I think it's a good thing. I like it. So I think that the movie's going to be fun and it's going to be enjoyable if you see it. But the wrinkle is, I don't quite know why I should see it, if that makes any sense. The hook for me is I think I'm supposed to go see it because Mr. Terrific's in it, but I don't care so much about Mr. Terrific. And Superman hasn't, I don't really know what his internal or external conflicts are that like so when you're looking at it, the same core problems that are present in the Superman movies, which aren't present in Superman comics by the way, I think are still very much present in this movie. So I think it's going to feel good if you see it, but I don't think a lot of people are going to see it, if that makes any sense. Yep, passing it back to TK.
I think he's frozen.
Okay, just kidding. Passing it to the kid.
All right, then, Sergio, what do you think
I think that James
about the
Gunn.
film?
I think that James Gunn had to do something with regards to this trailer. I think he's very intentional when you watch the trailer. I think Gunn had to show what's for example, the first scene you see in the trailer is what Cal is beaten and bruised. He's bloodied. He's presumably the Fortress of Solitude or around that area. And the biggest knock on Superman to a lot of people I've seen online, and especially growing up, is he's can't get injured. He's too strong. How can you physically hit him? And the first thing that James Gunn decides to show you is no. In my movie, we don't play around like that. In Snyder's world, he glorified gods. The superheroes were gods. Aquaman, Batman, Flash. They were. Gunn is not saying that. Gunn is saying the quite opposite in the first 10 seconds of this trailer. And so, piggybacking to what the professor and the Eagle and TKU as well, James Gunn had to show a lot of he had to show people some of the criticisms of the last 20 years of Superman. And the first thing he did was he showed the battery Superman. He showed that Lois is going to be more involved in this one, where she was more or less in the previous incarnation of Snyder. But we saw her in Superman and Lois, and she killed that show. She was amazing in that show. We saw the importance of what Lois is to Superman. We saw real quickly Jimmy Olsen. We saw the uniform superheroes, right? The corporate uniform superheroes. We saw Hawk Girl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific. If you notice, all three of them have similar uniforms, and they all have just different colors: green, brown, and red. And the story is that they're all working for a corporation of Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord is going to be played by Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother. So they're all basically corporate superheroes in this movie. James Gunn said, and another cool thing about the trailer is nobody really speaks, right? The only people that speak is a little kid who says Superman and the conflict going on in whatever part of the world he's at. And then the other thing is when Superman says to Krypto, home, take me home. So there's not a lot of dialogue here. James just wanted you to see visually what was the tone going to be of the film. The tone of the film was comic booky. It was, this is not as like Eagle was saying. It's not a depressive set. Even though Superman is going through something, notice his suit. Notice how people react around him. Notice how the world views him as opposed to everything going around him. In the trailer, he didn't even smile that much. He really didn't do anything. Kind of like the professor was arguing with Men of Steel. But the difference was, look at the suit. Look how the world looks. Look at aesthetically how James Gunn, by the way, he openly said it. He intentionally wanted to make it bright like this because Superman is the brightness in the dark world. There's a kaiju in the film. And James Gunn said, by the way, guys, that the trailer was 90% the first act of the film. So we haven't seen everything. 90% of the trailer is the first act of the film. the the story, from what I understanding, is that there's a conflict on the other side of the world where the little kid cries for Superman. Superman goes, resolves the conflict, but the problem is he shouldn't have, or basically he's viewed politically as he shouldn't have interacted with politics, and that comes back home. And that's why my theory is when they throw that can in Superman's head, it's because that's the backlash of the politics that Superman shouldn't or could do something. So Gunn is hitting you with there's a cute dog in the movie. Lois is going to be involved more than she should. What she should. She's the main character. Clark is already beat up. Clark is going against Ultraman. If you look at the trailer, so he has a physical threat and he has a mental threat in Lex Luthor. He's hitting you in so many ways in this trailer without saying anything. That I think there's a reason why the trailer is the most viewed trailer in the history of Warner Brothers. There's a reason why the hype is there. There's a reason why everybody's and I get it. There's a lot of retractors. There's a lot of people who are saying negative stuff. I'm not the biggest James Gunn fan. I'm not. I think that his comedy is not for me. I think his comedy is a little too like, I get it, dude. You didn't have probably friends growing up. I get it. But I think that he played around with D-list characters and he made them, to TK's point, household names, and he made them what they are today. Because ain't nobody, I don't care how much of a comic book head you were, the Guardians were nobody in 2014. James Gunn made them who they were in terms of pop culture. James Gunn elevated Peacemaker. And again, I'm saying this not as a James Gunn fan. I'm not even trying to like give him his flowers. I'm saying that he did it with a bunch of D-list bench dudes. You give him the Man of Steel. You give him the oldest modern comic book character in history. I think we have to give him a little bit like, okay, let's see. To your point, I actually agree with you, TK.
Mhm.
Let's see what he does, because I think the second trailer is going to now dive into the story, what I told you, where there's a conflict over there. Superman went over there. There's a political issue. He comes back and it affects him here. Lex Luthor clearly clones another Superman because that's Ultraman. So Lex Luthor is going to be that. And by the way, Mr. Terrific scene that the professor said, Mr. Terrific, if you watch the trailer, Mr. Terrific has like a force field when they're shooting him, right? Look who's shooting him, Professor. Look who's shooting him. Lex Luthor's army from the cartoon, the green and blue. So that's James Gunn said that this is going to be another version of Superman the Animated Series. That was his biggest incarnation. And we all know that Superman the Animated Series was nasty. It was an amazing show. What I'm arguing, I think
Yep, it
Gunn,
was.
and I'm not saying anything to give him too much credit, but I think Gunn is trying to do is he's trying to incorporate all the legacy moments, even though it's not called legacy anymore, of Superman. And a lot of people said, "Oh, look at the many people in this movie. It feels a little convoluted." I think that the reason of the and James Gunn said it as well, by the way, the reason why the superheroes are there is to give is because they are on a corporate guideline to be a superhero. Cal isn't, and Cal's gonna show them that you don't have to be a corporate guy. There's another way to be a superhero in a world. Because what did James Gunn say? The synopsis is he's a kind guy in a world that views kindness as old and I think that the movie, to your point, Professor, if Fantastic Four moves, which the rumor is they're moving, and it's only the dinosaur movie, which we're not going to speak of, there's $1 billion franchise. I think that if Fantastic Four moves, then they have a shot at getting money. But I think it's not about making money. I think if they hit $500, it's fine. You know what it is about? 500 million, my bad. You know what it is about? It's about changing the perception of DC moving forward, something that Marvel doesn't have a problem. Marvel's biggest issues, the stories are whack, and they have to be resolved to RDJ, which nobody should be talking about RDJ. DC has so many issues because there's so many Batman, there's so many heroes, there's so many this. There's so many people that look at this guy and say, my Superman is X, Y, and Z. Marvel doesn't have that problem. So James Gunn has a lot on his shoulders, and I think all he needs to do is do average at the box office, but give us a good film. Give us a good film to make people say, you know what? We actually have a chance here to rebuild what Snyder messed up in DC, because people think negatively of DC because of that guy. Because Superman Returns was trash, but Superman Returns didn't destroy Superman's legacy. It was like, okay, it was a bad movie. Anyways, when he did what he did to the Zod, I'm telling you, because I was there to see it 2 days before with a friend back in the day in AMC, people were depressed, people were angry, and people were livid at the fact that, again, that was his choice. Whatever, he wants to go that route. I think we have to give Gunn the benefit of the doubt. I'm not a Gunn guy, that he's gonna do justice enough with this guy.
I have a question for the three of you. For the James Gunn films, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, do you remember the stories? It's like Guardians 1, Guardians 2, Peacemaker, and Suicide Squad. Do you actually remember what happened in those 4 movies? I don't. That's the part that worries me. That with his style, he's not it's I don't want to sound mean, but he's good at imagery, and people love imagery, and imagery makes money. But as a storyteller, he's terrible, like uniquely bad. That's the part that I worry about. Like, he's really, really good for something like HBO Max, where you got episodes and you can kind of play around a little bit and like spread the story out. But if you're talking about giving me like a strong plot, beginning, middle, end for 2 hours, no.
I think
I don't even know if
I think Gunn counters that with his ability to provide the audience with an emotional point of view, because because Gunn gets you. Look at this trailer.
Yes.
Superman is walking and people are hitting from his head, and he's like, "Damn, I'm just trying to save people. I'm literally going up against a kaiju, and you guys are hating on me." Because Superman's arguing because somebody. Oh, by the way, guys, somebody was so hardcore, an investigative, fans out there, the nerds, our fellow nerds, that somebody. so remember when Lois Lane shows up in the trailer? I don't know if you guys know this. Lois Lane shows up in the trailer. She's in the Daily Planet, and she turns around at Cal real quickly. Somebody zoomed in to the TV in the background and in the newspaper that Cal was, just whatever catastrophe going on with the Daily Planet that day. And Superman said that he had to go to that area of the world to do the thing. And Superman quoted it. Clark wrote the story. Superman was quoted to basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, irrespective of what was going on, when somebody's in help, I'm going to go do something. Something like that alone should tell you he understands the character more than Snyder ever did. So that gives you a little give of hope of what the emotional, because Cal's going to get destroyed in this movie, physically and politically and all that stuff. But the difference, I think, to your point, Professor, is that he needs to do a better job, because again, the kaiju worries me a little bit. He needs to do a better job of like, how comic book do you want to go here? Because you can't have.
But that's the thing about James Gunn, though. That's the thing about James Gunn that I like, is that for whatever reason, I know the storyline sucks and everything, but the imagery is amazing. He's able to create relationships within the cast of characters. Like,
that's true.
All the movies he's done are group characters. And then all of a sudden you're adding all these heroes and he's going to interact them. And the fight scenes are pretty interesting and fun. It is enough to get people into the seats. And that's literally what they need.
He's fun, Michael Bay.
Yep. That's basically it.
No, Jay, because the difference between you're almost there. Because the difference between Michael Bay, you almost got it there. Because the difference between Michael Bay is that Michael Bay refuses to acknowledge dialogue. He just refuses to acknowledge.
That's fair.
Right? Michael Bay says, "Oh,
that's a good
Sam,
you're right. You got me. You're right. That's
Jay,
true.
He literally wrote a scene in Transformers where Sam is talking to his dad, where the damn Transformers in the background, and they're literally talking about something serious, and you can't.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you can't take that scene serious because you're too busy watching Bumblebee in the back.
I take it back.
And you're like, Dad, where's the Allspark? I don't care what they're saying. Where's the Allspark?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
So again, you almost did it. You almost got me, but
almost.
No. Michael Bay just looks at the script and says, "Where's the explosions? Where's the cars? Where's the shooting?" There has every scene.
The catastrophe has to happen somewhere.
But I'll say this though, moving forward, I think this movie, it has a lot of negative stuff. It's a pro and a con. I think that Gunn has to deliver this film because DC has Warner Brothers has financials. There's a lot of rumors financially they're not doing well. There's a lot of rumors that they're trying to sell with David Zaslav and all that stuff. And this film has to hit. And I just think that Gunn is going to be screwed regardless. If this film makes money, and if this film sucks, he's screwed. If this film makes $400 million and it's amazing, people are going to criticize the box office. In other words, he can't win because unfortunately the fan base is broken. So ironically, he needs Cal to save the DC. And I just think that's what I keep telling you. The film needs to be good, Jay. If the film gets me $600 million, which is Men of Steel money back in 2013, and it's critically acclaimed and the fans love it, I think he did his job. Because the problem too, Jay, is that you're also going against the dinosaurs, man. Ain't nobody want to fight that fight.
Even Marvel was
No,
like,
that's
"We out."
100%. Yeah,
Marvel's
exactly.
so
They
now
haven't
we're good.
officially yet. They haven't said it officially yet, but yeah, you do have Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, and the Fantastic Four in the same month, all competing with Jurassic World coming in first. So
Nah.
how would that impact the actual box office for
Yeah.
Superman? Because let's be real, like, the economy ain't good. You probably could go to the movie maybe once a month. So you're gonna have to decide between those three, which of those three are you gonna go for. That's going to be what's going to happen in July. We're going to have to see what happens
Yeah,
there.
and don't underestimate Crypto and the idea that he's going to bring families into this movie. Gunn is not dumb. Gunn knows, because he's also the head of DC. Him and Peter Safran. Don't get mistaken. He has to be thinking when he wrote the script, I got to get families into this because Snyder didn't do it. I'm not joking.
I'm not gonna lie. Crypto almost got me. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, maybe, yeah.
Jay, when he said "Take me home," come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's old. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely touched a heartstring. All right. Any final thoughts on the trailer or anything else that hasn't been brought up by anyone?
The movie will do okay. It'll be fine.
It better.
I think so too. So the movie will come out July 18th. Go check it out. I know we definitely will.
July
And,
11th.
Thank you for watching.
July
That's what I
11th.
said, right? Oh, July 11th. July 11th.
Hold on.
My bad.
You gotta
Send
get,
me
hold on.
another little date just in case. Make sure they appear.
July 11th.
It's dangerous
Got
to
that
go
chat
alone.
GPT.
Take this.
Give me the wrong information.
Just look up. Just look up.
Yeah, it's in July, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Whether you're a Jedi, time traveler, or part of the Justice League, keep your fandom alive and your warp drive engaged. Until next time, fellow nerds, this was for Nerd Breaking.